welcome to Total Football Talk. I'm Anthony.
And I'm an NFL referee who just threw the 103rd flag of the night. I'm Eric.
And I'm 10-1. So there's a few things here that I want to go over that I think are important, very important to note. The Rams, obviously, with a big win over Kansas City, snapped a 6-game losing streak against the Chiefs. Big win on a big night. So much to go into in that game. We're going to start with the Rams. We're going to go to the Bears, and then we're going to jump around the rest of the league. Eric, I'm going to start briefly and then turn over to you. I had told one of my students that if they want to know who's going to win the game, we're going to find out early. If the Rams stop Kansas City early and jump on top, meaning their defense shows up to play, then the Rams are going to win the game. And that's exactly what they did. Now, I am not a fan of high-scoring games. I think I've made that abundantly clear. And I don't like the statement that I heard today from Schrager this morning that said, if you like low-scoring football games, then you need to start finding a different sport. The NFL should not ever take the approach of eliminating its fan base. Because I promise you, that's not going to end well. It's a very narcissistic way of looking at things. But I digress. I don't like high-scoring games, but this was one of the best games I've ever seen. And no, not because the Rams won, because I'll get to that in a minute. And no, not because the Rams were in it, but because this game had everything. You want special teams? How about 2 missed extra points from kickers you don't get missed extra points from? How about long field goals? How about defensive touchdowns, strip sacks, interceptions? Guy getting a pick against his former team. A defensive player who's on a 6-game sack streak makes it 7 with a great play. Linebackers making great plays in coverage. But then obviously you had so much offense, obviously, as well, that you could look at. The quarterback everyone thought would outperform the other quarterback didn't. It actually was the other way around. Once again, Jared Goff outperforms his predecessor on the football field and doesn't get a lot of credit for it, although now he's getting a lot of talk. Just remember who said MVP first. It's this guy. It was a great game. And Eric, I don't know about you, but my attitude was this. When the Rams were down 51-47, this was my attitude. My attitude was Jared Goff has not shown the ability to win games in this moment. This is where he doesn't win. So my attitude was, great game, Rams are going to lose, Jared Goff proved me wrong, put my feet up, and I just sat back and watched. And I wouldn't be darned if Jared Goff did not win that game. That, to me, is a defining moment in Jared Goff's career. A hurdle that he has traditionally never gotten over, he finally got over. Make no mistake about it, this engine runs through 16 and 30. It's not a one-man show with Goff benefiting from it. It's a 2-man dog and pony show. Take it away.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that Goff won it. Yes, he had a nice pass, but it was more like the Rams defense stepped up in the most crucial times and actually stopped the Chiefs when they had to. Aaron Donald, Ebukon, who had a fantastic game. Like outside of LA, outside of any Rams fans, you never heard the guy. Well, you do now hear the guy, and he was all over the football. They were everywhere. They got into Mahomes' face. They pressured him right up the gut. They pressured him from the outside. Yeah, he stepped up. He threw a couple touchdown passes, getting it to Chris Conley a couple times, stepping up with a big deep throw to Tyreek Hill. As your cornerback still know how to keep their footing. But, hey, that's what happens in football. Get burned sometimes deep, and, well, we can see why Tyreek Hill is one of the best wide receivers in football right now.
Yeah.
But listen, if I said that, there's no defense, everybody's going to come back and say, oh, well, there's 3 defensive touchdowns. Well, yeah, a little sloppily played and whatnot, but the real story of the game to me was the refs, and it shouldn't be. The NFL brought in all-star referees. Well, guess what? If you're going to be all-star referees, be like a hobo and never call a freaking penalty. All right? That's an all-star ref right there. The refs were horrible. Let the guys play. Now, there were some cheap hits. Hold on. Let me rephrase that. There were some hits that could have gone either way. There were a lot of ticky-tack falls, which, you know, when you're a Rams defender and they slow down this play and you're going for the tackle, but you're going down, and then you brace yourself, and the Chiefs offensive player lowers his head, and the Rams player's head gets knocked backwards. I'm sorry, that's not a foul in the defense. Okay? Anybody who watched that and thought, oh wow, that's a helmet-to-helmet hit, you know, going against the Rams defense, you're an idiot, and you need your head checked.
Yeah.
You need a CAT scan. You need a lobotomy. You need an MRI for whatever.
Lobotomy.
You need everything.
Yeah.
You need everything because there was just horrible play calling, and a hit like that needs to be reviewed. You should be able to review a hit just like you keep harping on that you should be able to review pass interference. Gurley, I mean, what can you say? He's afforded, you know, a game to where he doesn't, to where he's not the focal point. Okay, the focal point was, yes, it was a Rams and Chiefs, but they made it the focal point of Goff versus Mahomes, and Mahomes for 2.5, 3 quarters delivered. Okay, the Rams defense got to him a couple of times. Donald is a friggin' beast. Throw him into the MVP discussion. Sorry, Anthony, Goff or Mahomes isn't winning the MVP right now. That's going to go to MVP Drew Brees. Okay, but Aaron Donald is going to make a case for himself to win overall MVP.
Oh, I have no doubt they've rigged it to go to Brees, because as soon as they said Brees has never won MVP and everyone kind of realized it, then all of a sudden the MVP talk started happening. I'm sorry, but Drew Brees has not outperformed Mahomes or Jared Goff this year. I'm sorry. He has not outperformed him. And it's supposed to be most valuable player for this year, not most valuable career. So, yes, after he broke the record, I conceded the fact that he will win the MVP. But I'm sorry, Drew Brees right now is 5th on my list. It's Goff and Mahomes, and they're neck and neck. You can flip and flop them. It's Aaron Donald, it's Todd Gurley, then it's Drew Brees. And I would actually move Brees ahead of Gurley. Hold on. I would actually move Brees ahead of Gurley because Gurley has struggled in a couple of big spots.
Well, then I'm going to throw a couple other numbers at you. Drew Brees, 1 interception. Drew Brees sacked 9 times. Drew Brees has a higher passer rating than the other 2 guys as well. So it's not just yards, it's not just touchdowns. But what else has he done with the ball? Drew Brees is is one of 3 quarterbacks with a 70% completion percentage or higher. Okay, Mahomes 67.5, Goff 67.7. You know, Brees is hecka accurate. Okay, and yes, he's got a run game, and I'm not saying Mahomes and Goff do not, because man, you have Gurley, and then you have he's 1, and then everybody else is 2. Okay, Kamara, Hunt, Melvin Gordon, so on and so forth. But I get why. It's because of his accuracy. He doesn't turn the ball over. You know, I don't know what else there is to say. His passer rating, I think they're getting more analytically involved in this. They're trying to bring that in. I think, not just look at all these numbers type of thing. That's what I think. I could be wrong, but that's just me.
So Drew Brees, let's take a look at this. Ryan Fitzpatrick outperformed him. Tyrod Taylor, there's a Hall of Fame quarterback he's gone up against. Matt Ryan, they went toe-to-toe. Great matchup. Eli Manning, not exactly a world beater. Alex Smith.
20 yards in that game.
Yeah, I know. Alex Smith. Joe Flacco. Kirk Cousins. Jared Goff. Andy Dalton. Carson Wentz. He gets Matt Ryan again. Then he gets Dak Prescott. Then he gets Jameis Winston.
Hold on. Does he actually Are those guys playing defense while he's playing?
No, but in those games, you should outperform your predecessor. David Carr, Sam Bradford, Phillip Rivers, Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson, Case Keenum, some loser, I can't even remember who started that game for San Fran.
It's not his fault that those other guys don't.
Aaron Rodgers. No, Eric, come on. You're going to compare these quarterbacks, then let's compare these quarterbacks. Jared Goff has outperformed quality quarterback after quality quarterback this year. When he's lined up against some of the greats, Phillip Rivers, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Mahomes. Eric, I just read through the entire roster. Through the entire schedule to this point.
Josh Rosen.
I went through them, Eric. But you still have Phillip Rivers, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Russell Wilson twice. You still have Mahomes, Stafford coming up, right? Brees is only person on the schedule that he's played other than Matt Ryan, okay, which I would consider pretty good, but not as good as some of these other names I mentioned. But sure, he's a Super Bowl quarterback. Ben Roethlisberger. So if you want to look, if you're just going to look at numbers, you lose the argument. If you're going to look at performance against a counterpart where you have to perform at their level because you know they're going to tear up your crappy defense, I'm sorry. I win that argument too.
Then Mahomes tore up your crappy defense and Goff tore up the Chiefs' crappy defense. There's the numbers.
So,
54-51.
Eric, let me get this straight. So you're gonna pull a media here. Whatever metrics benefits you, you'll argue for. But then when that metric goes against you, you're gonna discredit it and say it doesn't matter.
Because Brees doesn't go up against those quarterbacks; he goes up their defense.
Okay, so you want to talk defenses? Jared Goff's gone up against much better defenses all year long as well. He hasn't played Tampa Bay's garbage defense. He hasn't gone up against, fine, we're going to go defense. You want to go there, I'm going to go there. This is good. This is turning into a debate, and I'm fine with that. Let's go over their defense.
Oh, geez, the Raiders defense.
Yeah, no, the Rams have had some easy opponents. There's no question about it. But let's look at the vaunted Drew Brees and how tough his schedule's been. And even though we said schedules don't matter, we'll get into it. The Cleveland Browns, there's a world beater. The Atlanta Falcons, who give up 30-something points a game. The Buccaneers, who they lost to, badly, mind you. They gave up 48 points. They didn't lose badly. The Giants, there's a world beater. The Redskins are good. Baltimore's not what they were. Minnesota's not what they were. The Rams is garbage. I'll agree with that right now. The Bengals isn't very good. Philadelphia isn't very good. And what do they have coming up? They have Atlanta, Dallas, Tampa Bay again. Carolina's their toughest defense. Pittsburgh, I wouldn't call them world beaters, but they're getting better. Now let's look at the Rams. Since you want to go there, we'll go there. Let's look at who the Rams have played. So, the Raiders, yeah, joke. Cardinals, agreed, pathetic. San Diego, pretty damn good defense. Minnesota, there's a wash. They both played.
What they did against Denver.
Yeah, but they still held them under 30. Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. I don't know what to make of their defense.
Is holding a team under 30 a moral victory? Does that show up in the standings?
Well, considering that the Saints haven't played a defense yet that's giving up close to under 30 points a game, I think it's comparable. Sure, we can go there. Are you telling me that the schedule I just read you, the Chargers wouldn't be the best defense they would have gone up against so far this year? Are you really going to tell me that? You're going to sell me that bill of goods? Maybe the Redskins. I'll buy that. All right. The Rams played Denver, San Francisco, Green Bay. I'm looking at this schedule and I'm saying, at least, I don't know what to make of Seattle. I personally think Seattle's defense sucks, but I don't know. Sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't. I look and I see an equal amount of crappy defenses and good defenses that these two have gone up against. So, to me, those numbers, they do matter. Not because at that point, you've got a suspect defense. Does Drew Brees have a suspect defense, Eric?
No.
Okay. So can we agree that if Mannion was the quarterback, the Rams would be 1-10 right now?
Probably 2-9.
Okay. If Josh Hill was the quarterback for New Orleans, do you think they're 2-9? I don't.
Isn't Josh Hill the tight end?
Well, I don't know. The guy's last name is Hill. They use him in every position.
Taysom Hill?
Yeah, Taysom Hill.
I don't think they'd start Taysom Hill. They'd start Teddy Bridgewater.
Okay. Do you think they'd be 2-9 with Teddy Bridgewater?
Let's see here. No, they would not be 2-9 with Bridgewater.
Okay. Defense rests. I'm just saying, most valuable player. I know, but then the argument is, well, it's not just to your team. I agree with that. But I'm using that metric since that's where we're going. I don't think Drew Brees is not worthy of being in the MVP conversation. And yes, Drew Brees outperformed Jared Goff in their one meeting, which gives them an edge. But Jared Goff just put up a night on national television in front of the world to see after being told they were going to be playing in Mexico City, only to be told, just kidding, you're going home. And dealing with all of that outside distraction. The New Orleans Saints have had zero outside distractions, I would argue with the exception of Ingram, with the whole suspended for 4 games. So I look at this and I say, to me, maybe I'm being a homer, but I'll defend it till the cows come home. It's not comparable at this point. Drew Brees undoubtedly is going to get the MVP, but it is not going to be because he was the best player of 2018. It's going to be because he's never won an MVP, and this would be the year to give it to him. And Jared Goff's got plenty of years, so we won't give it to him now, which was the same attitude they took with Drew Brees every time he had a great year, and they went, well, he's young, he'll have more. He's got Sean Payton. And now he's at the end of his career, and it's, oh crap, we never gave him the MVP. Let's give it to him this year. Now, what's benefiting him is he is putting up good numbers. Like I said, I'm not eliminating him from the conversation. But at this point, Jared Goff has surpassed Todd Gurley in the MVP conversation from the Rams' standpoint, which means now you're talking about him and Mahomes, him and Brees. Now, are you saying you want to put Donald in that conversation, Eric?
Absolutely. You have to.
I mean, I can't necessarily argue with that. I just know how difficult it is for a defender to ever win that award. Who was the last defender to win it? Ray Lewis?
1982.
God dang, was it Lawrence Taylor?
I think so. Wow. I think Lawrence Taylor was the last defensive player to win the MVP outright.
Wow. All the way back in 80. That's tough, man. Look, I think he's earned it. I wouldn't be disappointed if that was the route they went, but I think you and I both know that's not the route they're going to go.
If he keeps up what he's doing, you really have to consider it.
Well, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all. All right, your takeaway of the game. You talked about where would you rank this?
Sorry, not 1982. Actually, it's funny. I just went to the list. 1982 was a place kicker.
That's right. It was Mosley.
Yes, it was Mosley.
I remember.
Lawrence Taylor won it in '86.
So that was the last time.
And then it didn't happen again until 1971 when Alan Page for the Vikings.
Wow.
That's the only 2 defensive players
really
to ever win the MVP award.
That's crazy. That's crazy to me.
Yeah. I mean, my take, basically, like I said, it was a ref show. It was ridiculous how many called penalties there were. Andy Reid was even shaking his head like, really, that's a penalty? I mean, I kind of agree with him. I was rooting for a good game. I was on Twitter, actually. They're like, score before regulation ends, so go to overtime, and we have more. And I'm like, man, just somebody win the freaking game. I thought McVay's play calling, trying to run out the clock, was atrocious. Giving Kansas City all the time, by a minute and a half with one timeout to use. I'm sorry, you just gotta pound really there. Make Kansas City use all three of their timeouts, and then if you have to, punt the ball back to them. I was really tempted to text you and be like, "Yep, football got to McVay too," because we've talked about like how coaches are in the last couple of minutes, and time management, but I refrained and I was like, let's just see how this game ends, because if something happens here and whatnot, but it didn't, and Mahomes threw that last pick. Yeah, he looked bad in the last couple of drives. The Rams' pressure got to him. Donald made his way through, and he was just like, "Hey guys, come double team me. I'll slip it through you."
Yeah.
It's funny. There was a lot of Aaron Donald, Khalil Mack talk. Who would you rather have? And I weighed in. I weighed in on Twitter. I said I love the trade the Bears made for Khalil Mack, but I was heartbroken when Aaron Donald was drafted one pick ahead of the Bears, and now we see why. I mean, dude is a beast. He is a monster.
Dude, look.
He's a player to watch. He's not the biggest guy on the field. He's not the biggest guy on the defensive line, but he is quick. He's got a quick first step. He's got great hands.
He's solid.
And for a defensive tackle, he is fast.
He's built. He is solidly built. Look, Abikuam really stole the show throughout this game. Not taking anything from Aaron Donald, because Aaron Donald is Aaron Donald, and he was dominant as usual, and I agree with that. But to me, this was Corey Littleton's day to shine, and Abikuam showed up. Now, Littleton had his moments, but nowhere near where Samson was. This was such a fun game to watch. But, Eric, I'm going to give you some criticism here, okay? Not you personally, but the Rams. Because there were two things about this game that really irritated me. Number one is there was no attempt to get Todd Gurley involved in this game. None. You might as well have had, Brown in the lineup. I don't know why they were so reluctant to run him. The end of the game, Eric, I couldn't agree with you more. Somebody needs to pull McVay to the side and be like, you cannot manage the clock like that ever again at the end of a game. Yeah, you benefited from it this time.
I know you have good communication with Jared Goff. The Goff's got to be like, listen, I'm bundling, we're running the ball, and we're going to make them use their timeouts. Like, take leadership. McVay's not going to come down and be like, you're benched.
Yeah.
You're benched for Sean Mannion.
Yeah.
He's going to be like, okay, I see your point. And thanks for bringing that up. Like, if I'm the quarterback, I'm going to lead my team, but I'm going to be like, listen, we're not rolling out. Where the one rollout to his right.
That was so dumb.
Right. Yeah, exactly. He threw it right into the defenders he's jumping. I hit him right in the arm. I'm like, imagine if that was picked. How many people would actually be throwing up right now? Yeah. And it's just like you're going to cost yourself. And it was just bad play calling. I thought Adrian Reed was calling plays for the time management.
Dude, I'm telling you, the third thing that I sort of had an issue with throughout this game was the lack. I do not like the way he manages his timeouts. We had no timeouts with about 5 minutes to go in a close game. What the hell are we doing? Like, I'm sorry. Either trust that Goff will get it off with 1 second left, or bite the bullet because you're an idiot and can't get the call in right. Like, I'm not saying he's an idiot totally, but when you're like, run this play. No. You know what? Let's go with this play. I like this play better because of the way the defense has been playing the last couple of minutes. You're thinking too much out there, bro. You're thinking too much out there. You know you're the best coach out there. Just trust your instincts and call the game. He gets himself in trouble or doesn't trust Goff. The amount of times I've seen Jared Goff almost want to throw the ball into the ground because they called timeout and he got the ball off with 1 second left to play. Like, trust Jared Goff. And we do this every single game. We will burn through 3 timeouts minimum per game. 2 in one half, 1 in another, or 3 total in one half. We do this all the time. Get that squared away. Look, last thing that I'm going to say, and then I'll let you take it over. I'm not going to sit here and concede the Rams as a one-and-done football team come postseason play yet. I want to know how this team plays with Akeem Talib back in the lineup. We know what kind of a difference Barry makes for the Chiefs in the secondary. We know what kind of a difference Ronnie Lott used to make for the 49ers when he was in the lineup as opposed to when he wasn't. We know what kind of an impact Deion Sanders makes on the lineup when he's in or not, even though he couldn't tackle. Akeem Talib is that kind of guy on the back end. And I think he calms down. Even Peters calls him the leader of the secondary. Like, he acknowledges Akeem Talib is the captain of the secondary. So it has a calming effect on him. So I'm going to wait and see what happens when Talib comes back. If this train wreck continues over the next 4 weeks of the season or the last 4 weeks of the season, then yeah, we got a problem. We got a big problem. And because you're not going to win a championship with this kind of defense right now. Go ahead, E.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to when they face real defense, and that'll be in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I just want to see how up to par the Bears defense is for this. I don't think you're going to see the Rams go 50 now, because the Bears don't have that kind of defense that the Chiefs have.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. But really, it's just easy sailing from here on out for the Rams, with the only hiccup maybe being in Chicago. But we'll see. I mean, stranger things have happened. You know, they need help from New Orleans side to get another loss, and hey, maybe they'll just play in LA the whole time.
I'm sticking with my prediction. I had said after the Rams had won the games against the teams I thought they were going to lose to, that they would only lose 1 game this year when you were talking undefeated. And that 1 game for me was the Chicago Bears. Now, they end up losing to New Orleans unexpectedly for me, okay? And I know people have laughed at me and go, Anthony, you're so worried about the Bears. Yeah, I'll tell you why I'm worried about the Bears. We saw it last night. It cost us a touchdown. The Chiefs stripped it and took it to the house. Jared Goff holds the ball too long. And Khalil Mack. What's that?
Chris Jones was a monster.
Oh, yeah, he was. He played unbelievable. Khalil Mack is a strip sack master. And Jared Goff is the perfect predator. Or the perfect, prey. Yeah, perfect prey. He is the apex predator in that department, and there is no easier victim in the NFL than Jared Goff. I'm sorry, there just isn't. So I'm envisioning like 3 or 4 fumbles in that game for Jared Goff. So that's why I picked the Bears to begin with. I'm not budging on it. I picked the Rams over Kansas City. I said all year long, based on my metrics that I was going off of when I said originally the Rams were going to be 13-3, when they won the games they weren't supposed to win in my book, I turned around and went, well, the only game left on the docket is Chi-Town Sunday night. So, speaking of Chi-Town Sunday night against Minnesota, E, your take, and then I'll give you my take.
Yeah, the game, for 3 quarters, 2.5, 3 quarters, the Bears dominated. And I mean, like, we're taking Minnesota behind the woodshed and saying, we're going to beat you right here. And they were just running the ball up the middle, up the gut with Jordan Howard. And it was, Jordan Howard's only getting like 4 or 5 yards carry, but it's just getting drives. And I want to see more Jordan Howard actually, get those 15, 18, 20, 24-yard bursts to the secondary. He's just not doing it right now. And, Trubisky was on early, had a few nice plays. The rollout touchdown to Allen Robinson, Anthony Miller was the thing of beauty. It was a nice catch by Miller as well in the end zone. The Bears got Cody Parkey involved early, hit the early field goal, kind of got that out of the way. And then what really surprised me is how many times they went for two. I mean, they only did it twice, but they went for two, and we all know the kind of opponent I am of going for two. And the Bears don't go for two. That doesn't force Minnesota to try to score a touchdown. Instead, they try to field goal. So it worked in that instance. I'm not saying where it gets other instances where it didn't work. When we review other games, but it worked for the Bears. Nagy decided to play Riverboat Ron's game and come away, feeling good. Did you say that they didn't let Parkey take the extra points, but hit 3 crucial field goals. So I'm not going to say all was forgiven, but everybody was feeling a lot better that night. It was only a matter of time before the Vikings decided to change up what they were doing, and it was more like 2.5 quarters before they started to. So they didn't do it when they should have, which was earlier in the game. But Diggs started getting his, Thielen started getting his. Cousins was pretty on point actually in the second half. Diggs had 126 yards receiving and a touchdown. But the Bears came through. Cook had an awful game. The Vikings rushed in total 14 times for 22 yards, and Cook ended up fumbling as well. So, you're not running on the Bears. Nobody's running on the Bears on Thanksgiving either. And we'll get to why that is. But, they had to pass. And when the Bears can sit back and let the short yardage, come about, it's going to take time off the clock. And that's exactly what the Bears want. But they can't keep going ultra conservative late in the game where they could end up getting beat and end up being down with a couple minutes to go in the fourth quarter. They need to shore that up. They need to have better game plan, better play calls. But Trubisky was able to get the job done. He did get a little shoulder injury hit by Harrison Smith. It wasn't a bad hit or anything like that. It was just Trubisky was going down and Smith maybe just hit him the wrong way or something. But he's got a little shoulder injury. And I just want to point out as well that your boy, Eddie Jackson, a lot of people are trying to compare him to Mike Brown, but he's got a long way to go. He just has a nose for the football. And it's so nice seeing another ball hawking safety, back there for the Bears. And he is going to make a lot of plays for years to come for this team.
Yeah, look, I was impressed with the Bears. This was a game that, everyone's like, Cousins was brought in to win this game. No, Cousins wasn't. Cousins was brought in to bring a valuable option at quarterback to the lineup. And he's done that. And he's worth every penny they've paid him. This is a game that the Vikings defense didn't allow them to win. They contained Tariq Cohen. They could not stop Trubisky, which was not a quarterback they had a problem with last year. Now, is that Nagy? Is that a year older? Is that the Vikings defense is, different this year? One could argue the 3 defenses that were the best defenses in football last year, the Rams, Eagles, and Vikings, are a shell of their former selves this year. But to me, I give a lot of credit to the Bears in doing the right thing throughout the game. Nagy I agree with you on the 2-point thing. I think people are getting a little too crazy with the 2-point conversion. They're treating this damn thing like it's a video game and not a real game. You can't run something at a key moment in a game that you've only practiced maybe twice the entire week. And, you know, ask the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were a team that was going for 2 every time because it was closer than a field goal or extra point. And they were only converting on 40% of it until they finally stopped. At one point it was a 50% clip, but then they were like, wow, it's actually dropped below 50. Our percentage is better on the extra point. Now they kick extra points. So I think people need to get off of this hysteria of the 2-point. There are times to go for 2-point conversions. You can go for 2 if it's not going to hurt your lead, meaning you're up 14 if you don't get it, but you're up 15 if you get it. You know, that's a good time to go for it. If you're up by 11 and going for it puts you up by 13, that's a good time to go for it, right? But it also depends on the game, the momentum, the feel of the game. I've always said if it puts you up 2 scores, 2 touchdowns, do it. If it ties the game, do it. If it brings you to within striking distance, do it. But only do it in the fourth quarter. Are you there?
Yep.
Yeah, only do it in the fourth quarter. Those are the times you want to do it. Not only in the fourth quarter. There are other times you can do it through the course of the game, but you've got to play your cards right. And this willy-nilly attempt at going for 2, I shake my head half the time. And I'm not sure that gave Parkey a lot of confidence. I know they trot him out there for 3 field goals, but it's like, okay, but can I try an extra point? Like, I need to rectify that whole thing too. So, I don't know. There was a lot of good things I took from Chicago. This was a big game. Make no mistake about it. Division game, second one in a row, at home. You got to win your divisional home games. It makes losing on the road in the division not so painful. It also allows for you to play with a cavalier attitude on the road against Detroit and Minnesota because you've already got wins against them. So, can't understate this enough. And did Trubisky win this game? Did the Bears defense win this game? Did Kirk Cousins lose this game? No. The Chicago Bears won this game. The Minnesota Vikings lost this game. It was a true team effort. Would you agree with that, Eric?
Well, you know, a lot can be said with Khalil Mack, the way he played, with Keith Hicks as well. I mean, Keith Hicks was a beast on the interior, and he caused a lot of disruption too. So, you know, I give a lot more credit to the Bears side. You know, 55-45. They had, having that defensive score really helped. But it was the Bears offense that was able to sustain drives and just run down the Vikings' throats.
That's what I mean. It was a team effort. Yeah.
Cook. Yeah, it stopped Dalvin Cook as well. So, and Latavius Murray. But, those are games you got to win. Trubisky, that's his second time. No, I'm sorry. That's, the Vikings were his first start last year. He was in the game. And the Bears were they were poised to win the game when Bradford was in there. And then they took Bradford out and put in Keenum, and the score got away from him. So, he's exacting his revenge. He just has really one team to exact his revenge on, and he needs to win that game 74-0.
Green Bay, there it is. All right. Cincinnati at Baltimore. Man, I was so on that Bengal train. Get me off that bandwagon, dude. Have you noticed since they hired Hugh Jackson, they haven't won a game? They're 0-2.
0-1.
Oh, they hired him this week? I thought they hired him last week.
No, they hired him early in the week.
Oh, well, then never mind. Well, I just...
It's still the Hugh Jackson effect. You might as well take it 1 week earlier.
Blame him for that one, too. I just don't know. I just don't understand it. I don't understand the Bengals. I mean, look, don't sit there and tell me that Jackson had any effect on this game, because I will turn this thing off. Jackson was not the reason the Ravens won this game. He wasn't the reason they lost this game. But give me a break. The Bengals stink again. Middle of the year, they're losing like crazy. end of the year. I don't understand this team. I don't have really anything to say about this game criticism-wise, just that the Bengals are falling into that same old tired trap. And as somebody who is an advocate for Marvin Lewis, if he don't make the playoffs this year, I would argue even if he does make the playoffs this year, he's got to go.
I don't think either team is making the playoffs.
I know. I don't either. I mean, Baltimore has their issues to boot as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, right now, actually, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. If the playoffs started right now, Baltimore's in. As I told you, if Baltimore won and Cincinnati lost and Indianapolis won, and there'd be like a four-way tie for that last wildcard spot. Well, Baltimore holds the tiebreaker somehow. But, you know, they won a game. Jackson wasn't flashy. He was actually the leading rusher of the game, too. Those guys don't typically last that long. There are some exceptions for running quarterbacks, but, you know, typically they get beaten up and banged up, and, you know, they start learning how to pass, and they don't last too long in the league. Baltimore did everything they could to win this game, and you know, Cincinnati felt it without AJ Green. I think AJ Green would have been a big difference in the game for them.
Yeah.
But, you know, he wasn't there. So, you know, someone has got to find a way to win these games. And it looks like these two teams are, you know, headed to, you know, who's going to get second place in this division. There's not much more else to say. I mean, it wasn't like a great way to watch this AFC North game. It was, okay, Lamar Jackson did what? And Andy Dalton can't do this? What? So, you know, I know it was 24-21, but, you know, it felt like it could have been 6-3.
So I want to touch on something. I'm going to backtrack a little bit to the Ram game because it's going to lead me into this game. The same idiots that are going to make this argument that I'm going to talk about with Carolina are the same idiots that thought Jared Goff was a bust after 7 games. Which, by the way, how many effing times did I have to hear that during the course of that Monday night game? Oh, Jared Goff, everyone thought was a bust. No, everyone didn't think he was a bust. Only you jackwagons that like to jump to conclusions off of one friggin' game and claim you've got it all figured out made that conclusion. I have been saying from day one you need to give a guy 3 years at that position. You want to judge a running back after 7 games? Go for it. You want to judge a wide receiver after 7 games? You can. You want to judge a lineman after 7 games? Knock yourself out. You cannot judge a quarterback or a cornerback off of 7 games. You just can't do it. A quarterback needs 3 years. A defensive back needs a full year. Then you can make your evaluation. It is unlike any other position in football. And I am so done with hearing, oh, Jared Goff was a bust. No, you thought Jared Goff was a bust, you dummy. The rest of us knew Jared Goff was a real talent.
That was every other word out of Booger McFarland's mouth.
Dude, I'm so done with this crew. Then you go to this game, and they're the same idiots that were like, Ron Rivera made the right call. Ron Rivera made the right call? No, he did not make the right call. You tie the game and play for overtime. You're on the road. But they claim it was a great call. Take it away, Eric. Look, Detroit impressed me with this game. They ran the ball well. Not really, but effectively enough. They got the conversions through the air. They exposed Carolina's defense for what we saw on Thursday night. Not to the same degree, but they played good enough to get the W. Give credit where credit's due. The Lions won the game. But River Ron blew this game. Take it away.
Yeah. Well, the Panthers got a big game out of Cam Newton and DJ Moore. DJ Moore torched the Lions secondary all day. You know, Ron Rivera said that, you know, we went to Detroit to win the game. We didn't go there to lose. We didn't go there to tie. We went there to win the game. I get that. And your defense is 20 times better than the Lions' defense. Listen, Cam made a bad throw. He admitted it. He's like, I make that throw 9 out of 10 times. He just missed his receiver. It happens. Um, if they hit that, if Ken hits his wide receiver, it's a great call by Rivera. Because then he trusts his defense with however much time is left to stop Detroit. I mean, Detroit still put up 20 points, so it's not like it was like a 7-16 or something. So, in my eyes, I still put my faith in my defense and say, make sure we get to overtime and we get the ball, we'll score. Yeah. That's how it is. They can't stop us. For the Lions, unfortunately, they lost Kerryon Johnson again. He's got a sprained knee. He's week to week.
Yeah, you want to give that rest.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be LeGarrette Blount, Theo Riddick, and Zach Zenner. While Matt Stafford throws to Kenny Golladay or attempts to throw to Kenny Golladay. You're going to see a 20-target game out of Kenny Golladay with no catches. So enjoy that stat. But I can't go along with Rivera's call. I can't, especially in the game when all you need to do is tie, and I mean you're not technically guaranteed another possession because if Detroit goes out and scores, that's on your defense. But if they don't score and you lose the toss and they get the toss or the point toss and they get the ball and they go down and score a touchdown,
it's
that's on your defense.
For me, it's coaching.
Put it on your defensive shoulders.
Right.
And say, get us the ball back and we will score on offense. That's it.
Do you trust your defense or not? If I'm Luke Kuechly, I'm asking Ron Rivera, what the hell are you doing? Do you not trust us? Have we not earned your trust? Were you still thinking we were playing Pittsburgh? Do you not feel like we earned the right for overtime in that game with our play defensively? I got a lot of questions if I'm Luke Kuechly. Look, some of you may be wondering who the good-looking guy is in the background. It's definitely not me. That guy right there, that's my dad. So he's in from Nebraska. No, he's not a Cornhusker fan. He actually is a Notre Dame fan, so that's where I get it from. And the good looks, in case you were wondering. So he's on candid camera. You want to say hi to E? Eric?
Oh, Eric's on there. Hey.
Who do you think's been
talking?
Yeah,
I'm on here. What's going on?
Hey, how you doing, big guy?
Good. How
are you? I'm hanging in there.
Yeah, and he's hanging in there in the picks. He almost beat me this week, but I got him by one game after tying him last week. Friggin' guy is never having a losing thing. I'm like pissing me off. Doesn't even watch friggin' football. He's had 2 losing weeks. Anyway, gave up on football with the anthem. He's one of those individuals that did that, which there's a lot of you guys, so I can't. We had a show on that. We talked about it.
Hey.
Vietnam vet. So
you turn around and you say things like you say things about me and my boys.
Yeah, I know. Tennessee at Indianapolis. Eric, I was so impressed with Indianapolis in this game. I think it's time people start taking the Colts seriously. I think they can make I think they're going to end up getting a wild card spot. We're going to do our postseason prediction here on Sunday morning after we cover the Thursday games and then preview the rest of them. But I've been impressed with the Colts.
Indy is scary good. If it's not an NFC team that is on a long winning streak like New Orleans is on, you go over to the AFC and the two longest winning streaks reside in the AFC South, the Colts and the Texans. It was a clinic, and a lot of people were right about Tennessee, playing 2 big games prior and might not be up for this game, and there was no comeback. Mariota was already down 24-0 by the time he left due to re-injuring his elbow. Tennessee just didn't have an answer. Like, nothing. They couldn't stop Luck. They couldn't stop Hilton. It was another one of those games where they're up 31-3 and Andrew Luck is still throwing touchdown passes. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, you're seriously going to pick off the wrong person. They're going to come at you, and they're going to hit you probably where you don't want to be hit.
Yeah.
And you're going to get injured.
They're going to take.
They'll take a 15-yard penalty.
They'll take the penalty. They'll take the targeting. I agree with you.
They'll take the penalty. They'll take the fine. Because they're not going to be sitting out as long as luck is out. But another impressive part of the Indianapolis Colts game is an offensive line, and Andrew Luck was not touched again in this game.
I'm telling you, man.
You're looking at over 200 dropbacks without being sacked.
I am saying this right now. I was so excited for Kelly coming out of Alabama. I said he was going to be the next Russ Grimm. He's proven that to be every bit as true as the day I said it. The kid from Notre Dame, Nelson, I knew he was the best lineman in this draft. It was not even close coming out. And you put those two young studs side by side, and people are going to start calling them the Baltimore Colts and going back to the Johnny Unitas days, because that's how good this team is going to get real quick. It's unbelievable that they've finally figured out, hey, if we put really good linemen in front of this quarterback, we're pretty tough to beat no matter how bad our defense is. So I was impressed. I agree with you. They're scary good.
I'm going to make a bold prediction, and you're hearing it now. So mark this down. The Colts are going to the Super Bowl next year.
Wow.
2019 AFC champion, Indianapolis Colts.
Wow, that's
going
bold.
to the Super Bowl next year.
That's a bold one, man. That's a bold one. I'm going to hold you to it, too. I'm going to hold you to it. Dallas at Atlanta. I don't know what to make of this game. Of course, because, Jay Gruden does what Jay Gruden does. Now Thanksgiving is, if Dallas wins, they're in first place. The AFC or the NFC least is really performing at the most pathetic level. This is reminding me of the NFC worst a few years ago when Seattle was blowing the doors off of everybody and everyone else in the division couldn't find 5 wins. No one in this division wants to win a dang game. Dallas beats Atlanta somehow in Atlanta. Field goal at the end of the game. And the Falcons continue to struggle. Washington can't get out of their own way. They can't stay on the field. I don't know, Eric. What do you make of this Dallas-Atlanta game? Because for me, Dallas ran Zeke. And when you run Zeke, your chances of winning go through the roof. And Amari Cooper looks like a rejuvenated superstar.
Well, Amari Cooper only had 36 yards receiving.
Yeah, but it's his blocking downfield, Eric.
He was really nowhere to be found. But when you're running Zeke, and when Matt Ryan's pass goes through Calvin Ridley's hands and right into Leighton Vander Esch's hands, which is funny that it went through Ridley's hands into Vander Esch because easily those two could have swapped positions in the draft.
Yeah.
To where they went, because Ridley could have easily been a Cowboy. What to make of it? Atlanta blew it. I'm not going to say that that Dallas didn't deserve to win because they played hard. I watched a lot of this game. It was on, and Zeke was Zeke from 2 years ago. He was a beast, and he kept wanting the ball. He kept getting the ball, and that just kept spreading the ball around. I mentioned Cooper getting his catches in, his 30-plus yards, and Beasley got his 50 yards. And I want to send a shout out to Michael Gallup. His brother committed suicide a day or two before the game we played, and he's expected to play on Thursday as well. So a lot of prayers to those who watch the Gallup family.
Yeah.
It's not easy. I'm sure it's not easy to play when you know exactly what happened. Apparently it was, from what I understand, it was suicide. So that makes it even worse.
Yeah.
Because you would think he would reach out to his own brother, but I don't know the circumstances. I don't want to keep commenting on it or anything, but Cowboys are rising up. They're rising up at the right time, and the NFC East is theirs for the taking. They are the healthiest team right now in the East, with with the way the Giants started, it's going to take a lot for them to catch up. But Dallas, to me, they win Thursday's game. They're in the driver's seat. But they went to a place where it wasn't always easy for them to win. But they went down there and they won on a last-second field goal. With each win the Cowboys put up, an extra $1 billion gets put on for what Jerry Jones is going to sell for.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Speaking of those Giants, the Giants played Tampa Bay. High-scoring game, 38-35 Giants. Knew the Giants would win. I actually predicted a much bigger blowout than what we got. What is your... My attitude on this was, every time I look up, it's like Barkley. I'm like, really? The 1 week I'm going against Barkley has put up 19,000 points. 33 fantasy points, but it's more than that. The Pat Shurmur is figured out that this dog and pony show, it's going to go through Saquon Barkley. You made a bold prediction. I'm going to make a bold prediction. Odell Beckham Jr. will not be in a Giants uniform next year. He gets traded this offseason. So, because I think the Giants, they need a complete rebuild. They got to tell Eli, look, bro, you got to retire. Because if you don't retire, then you're going to be mentoring the starting quarterback next year. And you're not even going to get an opportunity to start. So, and we're not cutting your contract. Unless you pay us some money back, because they would actually lose money on that cut. So, I don't know what they're going to do. But I have a very strong opinion that the Giants will probably get rid of OBJ. But Barkley's the thing, man. I mean, he's every bit as good as we thought he was coming out of the draft. And against a bad defense like Tampa Bay, he was on display. Go ahead.
Yeah, quarterback carousel in Tampa Bay. None of the three in Tampa Bay are going to be there after this year. Winston, Fitzpatrick, Dirk Cutter. There's a team that really needs to blow it up. Barkley was amazing in this game. The only thing I want to know is who wants the first overall pick. Because nobody seems to want it. Everybody wants to win now.
Yeah.
Nobody wants this pick. Giants. I think the Giants are actually in the league for it. And then it's the 49ers and then Raiders, because the Raiders decided to win too. But, what can you say? When you have a bunch of turnovers like Tampa Bay did, and you don't have a defense like New York does, it ends up being a close game because of all the comebacks and all, the long touchdown passes.
Yeah.
But give credit to, the Giants for outlasting them and running the ball when they had to. Because, again, Barkley, 132 yards rushing and 3 total touchdowns. He's going to be a great player in this league for a while. I'm not going to say that OBJ won't be on the Giants, but, the Giants, all they really need is just a more above-average quarterback. Where they find it from, I don't know. But I think that's really what they need, and then just draft defense, offensive linemen. Obviously they're going to go quarterback probably first in their first round pick, but fill in the holes, and they don't have to have a complete rebuild.
What was my prediction for the Philadelphia Eagle New Orleans Saint game?
You predicted pain, and you predicted a blowout.
I predicted 49-7.
I know I think you were saying that, but you didn't want to go that high.
No, I did. I said they would be up 21-0 at the end of the first quarter, and they would score a touchdown at least in every quarter after that. And I said 49-7. And what was the final score?
48-7.
There you go. This was not going to be a shootout. I don't know what people on ESPN and the NFL Network were smoking, but that type of ganja should be illegal to even use. Which, honestly, I don't know where they were thought. Anywhere in that equation. And are we willing to admit that I was right about something else? that the Golden Tate trade was the worst of the trade deadline moves, that what the Eagles needed was not a slot receiver.
Well, I think the Golden State trade is the least of their worries. They have no secondary, so your high school team could have beat the Philadelphia Eagles right now.
It was bad. It was bad. It was as bad as I said it was going to be. Yes, the Saints are a great football team. Yes, they're probably going to be the 1 seed. I said it. But Philly in a shootout, I just don't know where they thought. I just don't know where they saw it, because the Saints defense is better than that, and the Eagles offense is atrocious. It's almost as bad as the 2016 Rams right now. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, we don't judge a quarterback off of one season. Carson Wentz in year 1 and year 2 looked like he was better than Jared Goff. Then year 3 came. And is anyone going to sit here and tell me that Carson Wentz is even on the same playing surface as Jared Goff? I don't think so. I do think they're pretty even, though. At the end of the day, I do think they're going to still go down as the best 1-2 quarterbacks ever drafted, but in the same draft. Now, there's not much to say about this game. Saints in a blowout. Drew Brees and the Saints look great.
Yeah, the only thing I want to add is how funny it was when the Saints were up 41-7 and it was 4-7 in Philadelphia territory. They threw a touchdown pass.
That's
it was hilarious. And then Malcolm Jenkins was all upset. I'm like, dude, stop somebody.
Well, I know that's your attitude. Yeah, there is no coaching ethics anymore. So I would have no problem running the score up in today's football because no one in NFL has coaching etiquette at all. So
73-0 in the third quarter. Oh, let's run up the score.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Speaking of, well, he's not running anymore. Alex Smith in the Washington Redskins. First of all, condolences out to Alex Smith and his family. I heard he was rushed to the hospital, didn't even stay in the locker room. The leg injury looked pretty severe. I heard about the broken leg. I didn't see it because I had actually been away from the TV at the time. I went, Colt's in. Why is Colt McCoy in? Why are they talking about Colt McCoy? And then I went back on YouTube and I was able to find it. It was on that quickly. I was like, oh, Jesus. Lord have mercy. That leg helicopter winged, and it's not supposed to go 360. Like, it's just not. That's not normal. That's a problem. And it was a problem. And Alex Smith went down. And as I said, the Redskins would lose, and the Redskins did. And now the tumble begins. They lost last week. They lost this week. They're not beating Dallas on Thanksgiving. That's a 3-game losing streak. What's going to save them from the tailspin? Colt McCoy. The same quarterback that I would have drafted in the second round, the same year I would have drafted Ndamukong Suh. They both would have been on my team. I like Colt McCoy. I've always liked Colt McCoy. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's a serviceable quarterback. He's definitely a A-plus backup quarterback. And here's a guy that's been in the system for 5 years. They like him so much in Washington, they gave him a contract extension. And all of the players in the locker room said at the end of the game, I know what you're thinking, well, what else are they going to say? Well, they could be harping on the Alex Smith injury. But they all turned around and said, Alex Smith is our guy. Colt McCoy is our guy. And we believe he can win us some football games. Everyone to a man in that locker room likes Colt. Why? Football players don't like bad football players. Football players don't like players that can't play. There's got to be something to that equation. I think Colt McCoy, with Adrian Peterson and the offensive line when they get healthy, which will be after Thanksgiving, some of those players are going to come back. I don't think they'll be back for the Thanksgiving Day game, but I think they'll be back during the long layoff. Now, Washington comes back from the layoff. They play the Giants at home. I think that's a win. They play They're on the road. I just got to find it. They're at Jacksonville. That's a win. They are at Tennessee. That'll be tough, but I think they can win. And then they're home against Philly, and we talked about Philly. I think they can win those final 4 games and end up going 10-6 after all. But are the Cowboys going to go 11-5? That's the question. So I think Colt McCoy is going to save it, but I do think they're going to hit a 3-game tailspin. And you can credit Jay Gruden for that. Now, this injury, I talked about injuries. The Redskins lost yet more players. 2 more offensive linemen went down in this game due to an injury. Once again, I put that on Gruden, but you cannot put the Alex Smith injury on Gruden. You cannot do it. That was a fluke, horrific injury. There's nothing you can do about it. Alex should have thrown the ball away. He got caught with his pants down, figuratively speaking. And ball game for him, literally. Eric, I said a lot.
Okay.
I'll let you go.
I know. So, really quick, Houston grinded out this win. Deshaun Watson didn't have the best game, but they did what was necessary. Lamar Miller actually had a pretty good game running the ball with 86 yards. They did have a costly turnover with a Hopkins fumble. Watson also turned the ball over a couple times, but they were able to prevail. There was what looked like a blatant pass interference penalty that would have set up Washington in favorable field goal position.
Yeah.
That was not called, and Hopkins had to settle for a 63-yard field goal try, which he missed, which ended up costing the Redskins the game. But I'm going to throw some other stuff at you that you did not mention, and I'm not sure if you know or not. So they put Alex Smith on IR, and Colt McCoy's backup quarterback is now Mark Sanchez, your other boy.
No, he's not. Don't ever say that again. Old butt fumble has never been a supporter. I've never been a supporter of him.
Old butt fumble. Second, here are the other stats for you. Exactly to the day, Joe Theismann broke his leg.
Mm-hmm.
The same leg. The same score. And they lost as well. And there was one person in the building for both breaks. Know who that is?
Joe Theismann?
Theismann wasn't in the building for that. For that game. Romeo Crennel has seen both injuries witnessed firsthand on that field. That is scary, crazy, and
the Redskins are just chock full of these types of things. I want to get back to that. I want to get back to that last drive with Jay Gruden because this was another issue that I had. Jay Gruden lost this game for so many different reasons. You have to know your personnel. You have to know them. You cannot tell me that you knew that kicker was going to make that field goal. While you're throwing the ball, there were 2 routes on that deep ball. The one that wasn't pass interference, Eric. I'm talking about the second down throw, okay? Or the second down throw. No. Yeah, it was a second down throw. No, because it made it 8 seconds. Sorry, I'm jumping all over the place. I know. He throws the ball deep. There was a deep post and a deep corner. That's it. No timeouts, and those are your 2 routes. So Colt does the only thing he can do. He throws a deep corner. You had 18 seconds on the clock. Why are you not throwing a 5 or 6 yard play? Hurry up, spike the ball, because it was second down, trot the field goal team out there, and kick, which, by the way, they're about 5 yards short on the field goal. He's calling a deep post and a deep corner. If you complete the deep post, game over. If you complete the deep corner, granted, you got out of bounds. You got a closer field goal. But it's a low percentage play. And if you don't get it, you have 8 seconds left on the clock. There's nothing else you can do except throw a quick little out pattern and then trot the field goal team out there. But even then, that's a risk because if they get you in bounds, you're done. Now, it should have come down to that. There was an obvious pass interference on first down. I agree with you there. But once you don't get that call, you've got to have in your hip pocket your best plays in that situation. And they missed the field goal. 63-yarder because you didn't know your kicker couldn't make it. Fake it. Run a fake field goal. If your kicker says, I can't make a 63-yarder. You don't go, all right, just go ahead and try it and we'll see what happens. Maybe the winds of God will blow it through the uprights and we're fine because I'm Jay Gruden and I'm an idiot. No. You say, walk out there like you're going to make it and we'll fake it. Or throw a Hail Mary. But you don't proceed. I can't make this. Sure you can. I believe in you. No, I'm telling you, I physically can't make this kick. You're good. You got this. Oh, we didn't make it. I don't understand why. Know your personnel, bro. Drives me nuts. Drives me nuts. Chargers and Broncos. I don't want to hear the Broncos suck. You lost to them. That means you suck. Shut your face. I'm not giving them any credit. Really? Well, I am. You lost to the Denver Broncos at home. It shouldn't be called Fight for LA. It should be called Chargers are getting massacred in the Fight for LA. If this was a boxing match, they called it in the first round. You got KO'd. You got knocked the frick out. You're done. You're sleeping. They're counting and you're because you're out cold. This isn't even close. And you're 7-3. Bosa's coming back. And you lose to Denver at home in front of your 30 fans. Good job.
More kicking woes for the Chargers. They missed another extra point. That's what cost them the game. So it cost them the game last year, which ultimately cost them the playoffs. Listen, there's still 2 games up in the wild card spot from the first to second wild card spot. So what they really didn't need with a loss like this, or the Chargers always do. They always have a bonehead type loss.
Oh my gosh!
Well, they got it out of the way against Denver, but I guess they were kind of safe because Kansas City lost too.
Yeah.
So they really didn't make up any ground. But it would have been a great game for them to win. They had this game for 3 quarters. But that's why you play 4 quarters of the game. 3 quarters they were the best team on the field. 4th quarter, they're like, we're done. They couldn't stop Philip Lindsay. And, Rivers was having a good game, except when he was throwing the ball to Von Miller and getting sacked by Von Miller, getting strip sacked by Von Miller. But other than that, I mean, hey, you know what? There's other guys you can get sacked by that I'm sure you'd rather have Von Miller blocked than anything. But big loss for the Chargers, though. They lost Corey Liuget for the year. With an injury, so that's a big loss. They've had some key injuries on defense. That is what's making their defense a little Swiss cheese-ish, I guess you could say.
Our Charger fan.
Denver grinded out the win, and we got to give them credit as well. So
our Charger fans like, come on, man! This is the first loss we've had in how long? And you're gonna rat on us? So, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is.
Come on, man.
Come on, man! Exactly. Look, I still think the Chargers are going to make the playoffs. I still think they're going to be possibly in the championship game. I don't think they're a Super Bowl team. I haven't thought they were a Super Bowl team. And man, Lord have mercy if the Chargers do make the Super Bowl and they have to play the Rams. If it is an all-Rams Super Bowl, it ain't going to be 35-23.
You know what's funny is if it were an all-LA Super Bowl, they'd be playing it on the East Coast anyway. So.
Exactly right. So stupid, but it is what it is. They predetermine these things years in advance. Look, the Chargers could not afford, if they're going to be taken seriously, not just by people like me who have seen this from the Chargers year in and year out. And unlike the media, don't have this blind love and obsession for Phillip Rivers and anything Phillip Rivers and go, this is the year they win the Super Bowl. This is the year they win the Super Bowl. This is the year they win the Super Bowl. I'm a Rams fan. Okay? We could win the Super Bowl, and they're like, I don't think the Rams could win the Super Bowl this year. I just don't think they're good enough. In their punting game is great, but when they punt the ball from the 30-yard line, not from the 31 or from the 29, but from the 30-yard line, teams have this return average, and that's what's going to cost them the Super Bowl. They've already won the Super Bowl. Doesn't matter. It's not going to matter. They're going to lose the Super Bowl. That's what I'm used to as a Ram fan. Doesn't matter. There's always a reason we can't win it even after we win it. Oh, the Rams win by a yard. Okay. Really? That's how you're going to pitch that one? Cool. Now, if you want to be technical, we won by 2 yards. His knee was down and the ball was in and he was 2 yards shy of the end zone. Then he reached out, which, by the way...
The ball was already over the end zone.
Yeah, after he was already down twice. So I don't want to hear it. But, so the Rams won by 2 yards. Shut your face hole. Look, the Chargers, you said it, Eric, they have these boneheaded losses that make me go, good teams don't lose those games. Championship teams like the Rams, and I'm saying it, they don't lose at Denver. They find a way to win. They don't lose at home against Arizona. They blow the doors off them.
I'll tell you this much. If John Harbaugh is fired in Baltimore and they don't bring Flacco back, if I am the GM of the Chargers, I call Baltimore and I say, I will give you a second-round pick for Justin Tucker. Do you take it?
Yes. Yes.
Because, I mean...
Because not everyone is as incompetent as the Chargers in finding a kicker.
You know, when you have kicking rules, you got to find a way to solve it.
Right. So I wouldn't blame the Chargers for doing it. And if I'm Baltimore, I'm like, we find good kickers all the time. Yes, here. Take it. Especially since you're rebuilding anyway, and you don't want an old kicker that you're going to have to replace midway through your rebuild and put yourself through potential kicking woes. Don't you want to have that problem fixed? I think it's a good move for both parties involved. Oakland at Arizona. Eric, do I still need to see a mental physician?
Oh, what?
I believe I called this one for the Raiders, and you said something about calling my mental health into question. Look.
Looks like I'm going to the doctor now. I gotta wonder if I gotta think about the dinner first.
Yeah, listen. Look, it was 2 bad teams. The Cardinals have not beaten anybody other than the named 49ers yet this year. And until they do, I can't pick them. And the Raiders looked, to me, they impressed me against the Chargers. They played as good of a game for as bad of a team as they were against the Chargers. And yes, they lost, but there was improvement. The Cardinals are not on the same planet as the Chargers. So I felt like the Raiders had a puncher's chance. Not a lot to really say here. It was a good game. For 2 bad teams, they definitely didn't want to lose. And you made this statement earlier, and I want to touch on it here. This is why I love the NFL more than the NBA. The NFL doesn't tank a season. The NFL, they keep playing. They try to win as many games as possible. They do it the right way. And the reward at the end is there's only, you still get your opportunity to draft. Maybe it's easier in the NFL because you really have 64 picks that are going to be starters or really good solid players coming out of every draft. Where in the NBA, you have maybe 1 player. Sometimes 2. And maybe that's why basketball tanks the season, because they don't have the same opportunities as an NFL team does. But go ahead and talk about this game, if you want.
Okay. So I'm not going to really talk much about this game except for one aspect, and it's actually a fantasy aspect. So a buddy of mine, I actually told him that Marvin Jones Jr. was not playing last week against the Panthers. And I said, and he looks, he's like, oh, crap, I got to go pick up a wide receiver. He's like, thanks for telling me. I said, yeah, go pick up Christian Kirk. He's like, who's that? I'm like, okay. I'm like, don't play that game with me. Christian Kirk took a 1-yard pass and took it 58 yards to the house for a 59-yard touchdown catch and run.
Yeah.
For the Cardinals. And burst on this guy and the breakaway speed on him is unlike any other I've seen outside of like Tyreek Hill, Devin Hester, and even Dante Hall.
Wow.
For some of those guys. And those are some really fast guys.
Yeah.
And so after that happened, after he got that 59-yard touchdown run, catch and run, I texted him and I said, because he couldn't have used Christian Kirk 59-yard touchdown, he ended up with 77 yards and a touchdown. He is the lone bright spot on the Cardinals. David Johnson is still there, obviously. He had 137 yards rushing. He is also a bright spot, so don't get me confused that there's only one bright spot. There's two bright spots on the Cardinals offense. So they ain't the quarterback. But Johnson is finally starting to get his due. I like what Leftwich is doing with the offense. I think it's only going to get better as soon as Wilkes gets out of there. Wilkes isn't looking ahead to next year, which is smart because he's looking at it week to week, and he's probably counting down the weeks until he knows he's gone. On the other side, there's still disconnect between John Gruden and Derek Carr. They were yelling at each other on the sidelines, and even though they didn't trade Carr at the trade deadline, Carr will be traded in the offseason. And I said all along he's going to Miami. Listen, Derek Carr is going to be in Florida. There's 3 teams in Florida. Pick your poison on which team you go to, because that's the team that gives up the most for him. That's where he's going.
Yeah.
And if I'm the Bucks, I give up a lot because you already have your wide receivers in place. Jacksonville, they have a defense, but Carr cares about more on the offense. But he gets Fournette and a couple of underrated wide receivers. And then in Miami, who do you got?
More of a
That's where I
complete
think
team.
Carr goes. I think Carr is Florida bound. So pick a team that you can't go wrong with either. The Raiders. Listen, if I'm the Raiders, I am trying to get that number 1 pick, trying to make it look good. Maybe ask my kicker to miss to the left a little bit. Who knows? Let's say I didn't say that, but that's just me.
Pittsburgh at Jacksonville. Last one. I'm going to be quick on this one. Pittsburgh. You got to question the struggles against Jacksonville, but you can't question the game. It's a W. I have one issue with this game, and I'm only going to mention it. You've got Ben Roethlisberger, who runs about a 3-day 40, coming around the edge. You've got an opportunity to square him up and light him up and stand him up and drive him back. And you hit him from the side and low. Yeah, you deserve to lose that game. He doesn't score that touchdown if I'm Jacksonville. If I'm the head coach of Jacksonville and they're taught how to tackle, that one doesn't happen. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't turn around and, run another play and get a score anyway, but they're not scoring on a Ben Roethlisberger touchdown run. I don't know what angle that linebacker was taking. I don't know why he hit him where he hit him. It was a pathetic exhibition of blocking, and it really did put in a capsule for me the Jacksonville Jaguars season. You want to know why they suck in 2018? Their defense, and that is Exhibit A through Z. Terrible performance in an otherwise well-played game. Credit Pittsburgh. They won the game.
Yeah, as you tooted your horn regarding the close final score call in the Saints-Eagles game, I'm going to toot my horn a little bit and call that game as well. I called that game 20-19. Pittsburgh winning, and they ended up 20-16. Doug Marrone, horrible play calling in the fourth quarter. Not even trying to run the ball, putting it in Bortles' hands. And is it me or does Blake Bortles have the longest windup I've ever seen? He might as well go out and pitch instead of play quarterback.
Right.
As soon as you start winding up, just start jumping up in the air. You can deflect a lot of passes. It is slow. And he doesn't get the ball out, quick. He's got some good velocity on his passes, but man, it takes him like an hour to wind up. Jacksonville's defense was ferocious for 3.5 quarters. For a quarter and a half, they held Ben Roethlisberger to 8 yards passing. And I swear this week in football, I saw more quarterbacks with less than 100 yards of pass when Mahomes and Goff are putting up 100 yards by minute 14 in the first quarter. I mean, it happened. It happened for both quarterbacks. Bears game, it happened for both quarterbacks in the Jacksonville Pittsburgh game. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, people would have like 100 yards by the end of the first quarter or even early second quarter. So Roethlisberger could not find anybody. I told you he would struggle with Bowie and
you did.
And Jalen Ramsey back there. He did, and he threw some awful interceptions. He ended up hitting Antonio Brown on a long touchdown pass on a broken play that Brown was just wide open. I mean, you can't leave Antonio Brown wide open. You always have to recover. But credit Brown. I mean, we're running a very smart route, just sitting down and then taking off, and nobody around him for 20 yards, getting the touchdown, and that was big. Jacksonville could have had a chance if, with a lot more time on the clock, if James Conner actually catches a touchdown pass wide open, he just takes his eyes off the ball and drops it. It's the worst thing that could happen to Jacksonville. Is that Pittsburgh kept getting touchdowns. But even worse was that Jacksonville's defense kept getting holding penalties in the end zone and the ball spotted at the 1 and 2 yard line. It's like, how many chances are you going to get Pittsburgh? Because you know that they're going to score.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how and a matter of when.
Yeah.
And if Pittsburgh's a running team like they say they are, and they have a good running back, why didn't Conner touch the ball the last 5 plays of the drive? Like, give him the ball, let him get in the end zone.
Well, he did touch the ball. He just dropped it.
Ben doesn't have to sacrifice.
He did
He's
touch.
not gonna drop a handoff.
No, but he dropped the pass.
Yeah, that's different than a handoff.
Well, obviously, stupid. Like, no, duh. Different than a handoff. Really? Thought it was the same.
Football different than golf. Yeah.
Really? Okay. Listen. Go Rams.
Go Bears.
Horns up.
Bear down.
And Goff for NFL MVP.
Which you won't be. The dead.
Whatever.